Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ryan from the No Autopilot YouTube channel coming to you live. Actually, this isn't live. Not sure why I said that. But we're going to give you some information on Bitcoin. Some you probably already know, as well as a hot take, a different approach that you probably haven't thought of. So let's start here. So it's official. El Salvador's legislature votes to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. Stellar. So what does that mean? So that means for goods and services across El Salvador, you can pay and be paid in Bitcoin. And then the El Salvador government's going to have a process or structure in the back end to convert some of that into US dollars and buy Bitcoin. So that's cool. Good to know. So as we hop over into Twitterverse, we saw a couple folks coming out and showing their support. Justin Sun from Tron came out and mentioned that, hey, they're going to be looking at creating some offices in El Salvador to help support their cryptocurrency revolution, which I think may be a little premature, but hey, cool, do it. That's a country that could use definitely some outside investment, and I'm sure the people there would love an opportunity to earn a livable wage. Okay, so look, I know we're all here together. So we experienced the euphoria being up 60K plus, and now we're down here in this valley, 35K. And I thought it was really interesting, right? When these things happen, you're probably just like you. I try and read the tea leaves. I try and look at the trends. I try and break down like 40 steps forward. What's the future going to look like for Bitcoin or altcoins or whatever cryptocurrency I'm doing a video on? And oftentimes what I end up falling back to is I follow big money. So like whatever big money is doing, not what big money is saying, but what big money is doing, I try and follow. Because they're smarter than I am. They have more money than I do. They have bigger teams than I do. They've been doing this longer than I have. So chances are they're going to make a better call. So anyhow, Michael Saylor had mentioned through his Microstrategies group that although they experienced some massive losses from Bitcoin dropping in value, has created a brand new private offering to raise $400 million to buy more. Quote unquote, buy the beautiful dip. We did have this article come out from JP Morgan, who is, I'd say, crypto adverse, might be the best way to phrase that. In essence, saying there's a weak Bitcoin demand from big investors and a crypto bear market could be on the way. Well, yeah, an asteroid could also be on the way. So we're just throwing out hypotheticals here. I could walk across the street, find $1 million on the ground. That could happen as well. Anyways, JP Morgan, a lot of the data that came into this article came from this gentleman. I'm going to call him Nick. And Nick's had a few calls. I went through his LinkedIn, and this is all public information, so I'm not putting this guy on blast. And he is a legitimate big deal, I would imagine, within the JP Morgan brand. He's been with the organization 17 years, and he's been in that position for that exact same period of time. So this guy's been around the block. He has a financial background, and I think more often than not, he's probably accurate. He's probably right. So I went back and I pulled up some old information by Googling his name, Mr. Nick. And back in February 18, he again was on CoinDesk explaining a bearish report he put together for Bitcoin. And interestingly enough, if we look at the Bitcoin chart going to February 18th, bear with me while I scrolling rapidly. Hopefully I won't miss it. We're going to do it right there. Okay. So we look at February. Yeah, sure enough, he wasn't wrong. We kind of had a period of trading sideways. You know, crypto, you go up or down 15, 20%. It's just like normal. But we did ultimately go from that price of, what would we call that? Let's call it 12,000 to 60K. So was he right? Yeah, at that period of time, that brief little snapshot. But I think the long-term valuation and view of Bitcoin hasn't changed a great deal, and it is going to increase in value. So jumping forward, I went ahead and also found this report. which was also by Mr. Nick, Mr. Beautiful, Beautiful Nick. And this was in December 10th, 2020, where his group found that a ton of money was flowing out of gold and flowing into Bitcoin. And so sure enough, if we go to December 10th and we look at it, December 10th, around $18,000, we sure the heck did rally up fivefold. So what does this mean? It means that this guy is kind of just wasting our time. He's telling us stuff that we already know, that's already happened. Hey, guess what, guys? Price went down. Hey, guys, guess what? Price went up. Like, okay. All right. So he's an editor, and it's his job to get our eyeballs on JP Morgan's information to promote them as a brand, a trusted brand in the finance space. And he's doing his job well. Ultimately, I think the long-term valuation and approach of Bitcoin, as I mentioned, has not changed, and it will continue to march on and continue to do really, really well. A couple other things worth calling out here. So this is from, you guess it, JP Morgan. Now, this wasn't from our boy Nick. It looks like it was led by, what do we call him, Stevie. This was led by Stevie out of the Latin America Emerging, I'm going to assume, Markets Research from JP Morgan. And they had this at the very end in regards to El Salvador accepted Bitcoin as a form of main currency in the country. Pretty much ton of uncertainty, not sure what's going to happen, not sure how the IMF's going to react. But at the end, they were like, those moves may be complicated if this is the beginning of a broader trend among similarly situated smaller nations, in essence, to accept Bitcoin as a form of their native currency. So, pretty much it means that JP Morgan is just riding the wave like all the rest of us, with the FUD takes the price down, development takes the price up, FUD takes the price, like it, I mean, it's that, yeah, it's just the whole game that everybody's playing. So I did come across this article and I thought this was super interesting. And within the context of this video, Robert Schiller, who came out with the book Irrational Exuberance, who quote unquote prophesized the dip or the burst of the .com bubble, came out with this article in essence where he's saying, you know, we shouldn't call Bitcoin a bubble. Rather, we should call it a epidemic, because of how it spreads. And as new technology is developed and people begin to make money and get excited about it, they tell their friends and share it with their friends, and then those people pile in, and then they expect the same exact thing, and it just continues over and over, right? It happened like with the telephone, with the automobile, and now with Bitcoin. And so I thought that was really apt to look at Bitcoin as a epidemic in a positive approach, which now might be a kind of a poor choice of words based on everything that happened with the pandemic. But anyhow, hopefully you pick up what I'm laying down there. So one of the key things I'm looking at when I go ahead and I look at Bitcoin and I decide if I'm going to buy it, hold it, sell it, whatever, is some of the trends in the ownership. And one thing that I thought was kind of interesting here. So this is breaking down holders. So people have held the cryptocurrency Bitcoin longer than a year. Cruisers, people have held it for 1 month to 12 months, and then traders. So people who are selling Bitcoin in under a month. They buy it and they sell it under a month. And one of the things that you'll notice is on that traders, how that number is decreasing, right? So from April, 5 million to a little bit under 4 million to 3.8. So those are, I would imagine, your options traders, right? Those people who are buying long options on Bitcoin and then the expectation that the price is going to go up. Now, these folks kind of had their check cashed as Bitcoin crashed, and they were margin called, and they had to pay up, and they're probably a little sore from that. What I would anticipate is that as more positive news piles in around Bitcoin, that those boys and girls, men and women, will begin to feel more and more confident and return in droves. The other thing I think is super interesting is if we look at the holder numbers, and this is across the entire year, every single month it has increased. So 21.5, 21.8, 22.0, 22.1. So what that means in essence is that people are buying and they're holding Bitcoin. And the reason why the price is fluctuating is from all the yahoos who are maybe newer retail investors, or they're these traders who are riding the daily prices up and down of Bitcoin. So the long-term trajectory of Bitcoin hasn't changed a darn bit, in my opinion. Not financial advice. Then we have this lovely chart, and unfortunately I'm colorblind, so I can't tell you what this means. I am colorblind, but yeah, these colors aren't doing anything for me. In essence, this is supposed to tell you when we're oversold, undersold. Anyhow, when the price hits a low that is unfairly too low, as well as once we hit a high that's unfairly too high. And it gives you recommendations on when to buy and when to sell. And as you can see right now, we're right there smack dab in the middle. And look, if we have a trend down, seems like a great opportunity to buy while everyone else is running away, because nothing fundamentally has changed about Bitcoin. It still has 21 million tokens, a dwindling supply that's going to continue to be reduced from Bitcoin halvening, and more institutional investors, more major adoption. And then as it piles up here, it may be a time to take some profits off the table, so then you can buy the next FUD-fueled dip that's driven by big finance who are trying to line their pocketbooks with as much fat cash as possible. Okay, last thing I'm going to leave you with here, taking a little bit of positivity off of Reddit. I'm on Reddit way too much. Hit me in the comments below if you're also on Reddit way too much. Twitter's CEO Jack Dorsey mentioned that it's only a matter of time before Twitter integrates Bitcoin Lightning's network, in essence, enabling you on Twitter to be able to tip and send money using Bitcoin to other participants. So I think once this happens, it could be a nice little positive signal. I think we could also keep our eyes open for any new countries adopting Bitcoin as a form of currency, as well as there is some fear over the Bitcoin death cross, which is on the potential horizon here. But historically, if we go back and look, Bitcoin has crushed its annual yearly earnings just about every single year. And I don't anticipate that's going to change anytime soon. So, hey, this is a little bit of a flow of consciousness video. Hopefully you found some of this content valuable, interesting, worthwhile. My name is Ryan. This is the No Autopilot YouTube channel, and I would highly appreciate it if you would go ahead and hit the like button to pump this video up, as well as consider hitting the subscribe. YouTube is my full-time job, and I don't know if you've seen my pictures, but guys, I like to eat, and I needed to be able to afford food to eat. So consider liking and subscribing. Thanks so much. I'm out. See you in the next video.